I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us here on Closing Arguments. Big news in the Adnan Syed case. The man who was the focus, the subject of the Serial podcast for the murder of his ex-girlfriend years ago down in Baltimore, Maryland, Hae Min Lee. Today, the prosecutor announced he's innocent. Innocent. Now, you're saying, wait, this already happened. No, this did not happen. Previously, the prosecutor said, we are dismissing the charges, but we are not saying that he didn't do it. What we're saying is we don't have the evidence, etc. Today, completely different situation. Completely different. She exonerated him today. That's what the prosecutor did. Exonerated Adnan Syed. Now, what exactly was the basis of this? You know, because there's a difference between not having enough evidence to prosecute someone and prove a case and exonerating them, saying, no. They are factually innocent, meaning somebody else did it and we know that he did not. Okay, those are two different things. And she is saying innocent, exonerated, somebody else is responsible. Here's her explanation.
This morning, I instructed my office to dismiss the criminal case against Adnan Syed following the completion of a second round of touch DNA testing of items that were never tested before. Those items include skirt, pantyhose, shoes, and jacket of Miss Hae Min Lee. Although no DNA was recovered from the skirt, the pantyhose, or jacket swabs, there was a DNA mixture of multiple contributors on both Miss Lee's shoes. The same multiple contributor for both of Miss Lee's shoes. And most compellingly, Adnan Syed, his DNA was excluded. My office received notice of these results on Friday. This morning, I personally reached out to the victim's attorney to inform Ms. Lee's family of the DNA findings and my decision to dismiss the case. We attempted to wait for confirmation of notice before releasing anything publicly, but we still, at this point, have not heard back from that attorney. I've utilized my power and discretion to dismiss the case. There's no more appeal. It's moot. It's still an open and pending case, but with regard to Adnan Syed, the case is finished.
I have a lot of questions about this, okay? A lot of questions. You know, sometimes if it's like a rape murder and there's DNA left behind and it doesn't match the person who's been in prison, but it does match someone else, like, okay, that's an exoneration. What does it mean when there's a mixture of DNA on someone's shoes? Does that mean there's more than one killer here? Is the killer the person with the DNA on the shoes? Because I think that's what she just said. Let me bring in an expert, though. I'm not an expert on this. Joining me tonight, Oceanside, New York, Professor Emeritus of Forensic Science at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. You know him well. I know him well. Dr. Lawrence Kobylinski back with us. Dr. K, great to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us. I told Marina, our booker, I said, get me Dr. K tonight. I need to understand this. Mixture of DNA on the shoes. What does that tell you? Does that tell you the killers are on the shoes? There's more than one killer, that Adnan Syed is innocent?
You're asking all the right questions, Vin. I will tell you that there were other items that they looked at. As you heard the prosecutor mention, there was a skirt, pantyhose, and a jacket. They got no results from those items. Those items were on the body, and they were exposed to the environment. And if there was DNA there, it may have just decomposed. But the shoes were in the car. They were in her car, and they were protected from environmental insult. And so there was DNA on the shoes. This was the kind of DNA you don't really see as a stain. It's invisible to the naked eye. It's sometimes referred to as touch DNA. It consists basically of skin cells. We all shed cells every day, all the time, maybe 400,000 cells a day. They're shed from the outer surface of our body. You can shake hands with somebody and transfer your cells from yourself to somebody else and pick up cells when you shake hands with somebody. So, touch DNA, you don't see it, and you don't know it's there until you swab it and test it, and then you know it's there. Now, you can have several possibilities. You look at the shoes, you swab it, you extract the DNA, you quantitate it, so that tells you that you have enough. But what you will eventually find is there's either a single source, there's either DNA from one person, or it's a mixture. Now, if it's a mixture, it can be not too complex, like a mixture of two people. A mixture of three people is more complex. My understanding is that in this case, they had a mixture of 4 people, which makes it very complex. In fact, many labs doing DNA work, when they find a mixture of 4 people on an object, they declare it's too complex to interpret, and they just don't. But some labs are now beginning to interpret 4-person mixtures using what is called probabilistic genotyping software. Sorry for the long expression, but basically this is a computer application, a package that can deconvolute a mixture, which means you take a mixture of several sources, and the instrument can, using genetic frequencies and statistics and probabilities, separate the components of the mixture. And they've done that here, apparently. And it comes up where 2 of the people that were part of the mixture comes back to 2 people known to law enforcement. One of whom, as you know, is involved with sex assaults. And the other is also, involved with this kind of assault, violent behavior. And I think on that basis that Adnan Syed's DNA was not found, and these other 2 individuals' DNA was found, the conclusion is that most likely, most probably, they're the persons who contacted the shoes. They're the people who touched the body. To touch the shoes, touch the body. And therefore, she's Marilyn Mosby is putting a lot of stake in that, because, as you said, the question is he not guilty? Is he really innocent? Is he factually innocent? Or is it just that his DNA isn't on the shoes? It's a very interesting question you're asking. And, the criminal justice system is far from perfect. The Innocence Project cases have exonerated hundreds and hundreds of people that have been found guilty, and they're not guilty. They're proven innocent. So this is a very interesting case from my perspective, and you're asking all the right questions, Vinny.
Dr. K, great to have you on the show tonight. Appreciate that clarity right off the top, because we need it. Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence Kobylinski, sure. John Jay, College of Criminal Justice. Let's bring in the think tank. Join us tonight in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, law professor at Texas Southern University, Michael Sterling is with us. In Seattle, Washington, trial attorney Ann Bremner. And in West Palm Beach, Florida, former police lieutenant and trial attorney Rick King. Great to see everyone tonight. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what this means for justice for Hae Min Lee going forward. It seems to me the prosecutor, the head prosecutor, is saying that DNA, because Adnan is not there, he's innocent, has nothing to do with this, okay? But we've got a mixture, and as Dr. K pointed out, 2 people, potentially 2 other people. Could this potentially lead to justice for Hae Min Lee? Michael Sterling? Everything about Adnan Syed will be the focus of anyone else's case if they're charged, right? But could this DNA be enough to charge perhaps 2 people for the murder of Hae Min Lee?
Yeah, I guess, Vinny, it depends on what's available. Obviously, there was information about 2 other suspects, one of which went on to sexually assault multiple women, was a serial rapist. Another one was also convicted of assaulting a woman. So there were 2 other suspects that I'm aware of, which was withheld from the defense, which is why the judge initially overturned the conviction on legal basis, and then the prosecutor gave the prosecutor 30 days to come to the decision they came to today. But I do think that if there's an opportunity, certainly an opportunity to test this DNA evidence against those other 2 suspects, perhaps we could get some information that could lead us to the individuals who committed this heinous crime.
Yeah, because Ann Bremner, there's 2 parts of it. Like I always say, the worst thing that can happen in our system is someone is wrongfully convicted. That's why our system is set up to try to protect against that, okay? Prosecutor told us today that actually happened. That's what the prosecutor declared today, that actually happened. But she also indicated we've got DNA, we've got a mixture. And as Dr. K was telling us, you got 2 people potentially that are on the radar. Their DNA's on the shoes. I mean, could that in any way lead to justice for Hae Min Lee? Or does the prior prosecution of Adnan Syed, whether it's a wrongful prosecution or not, be enough to raise a reasonable doubt and keep anyone from ever being held responsible here?
Well, exactly, Vinny, the latter. I mean, I look at that and you think about this would be a defense attorney's dream, to try this case, for any of these 2 alleged suspects, and then basically look at everything, the evidence that was relied upon in the initial prosecution in this case. The other thing about this case is, remember in the Amanda Knox case, she was exonerated too. She wasn't just found not guilty, she was exonerated. And so that's the term used here. That's extreme, as we know. We don't hear it very often in our system. There's a Scottish verdict, which is not proven, which is basically a not guilty, but there's not guilty, but exoneration is extreme. So he does have that, of course. And I did not follow serial. I think I'm the only person who didn't. So I can't attest to what was there. So I'm not looking at the facts from that in any particular way. But tough prosecution, given that there was a prosecution before, and it's been a lot of years. And this exoneration itself, it may not be enough to carry the day for basically a prosecution of maybe 1 person, maybe 2 people in the future.
Now, Rick, I want you to take a listen to Adnan's attorney who spoke today. Let's take a listen to that.
He is elated. He is joyful. He is still processing this. I mean, I think you can imagine there have been so many ups and downs over the past 23 years. So he is really just taking it all in, but he's incredibly grateful for all of the people who have supported him and believed in him over the years. It's interesting with wrongful convictions, with innocence cases, it is often the burden on the defendant to be able to solve the crime in order to be able to prove their innocence. But we still have an adversarial system, and we have our role, and the state has their role. So we have cooperated up until this point, and it will be up to the state and to the investigators to do their due diligence and follow this investigation all the way through.
Okay, Rick, let's pick up on that. If in fact they do that, if prosecutors do what they're supposed to do, if you say you prosecuted the wrong person and that person is innocent, you've got to find the real killer or killers, it seems in this case. If that happens, if charges are brought against those killers, Adnan Syed, what is his role in their trial? Would the defense subpoena him? How does that work? Like, how does the defense kind of raise the specter of, oh, somebody else did it? Could you put him and compel him to testify and put him in front of the jury and try to make him look bad?
I think you have to give it a shot. I mean, I think that's the defense's biggest case, is that they said Adnan did it. And so if I'm the lawyer, I try Adnan's case right back at them again and try to make them prove otherwise. I don't know that DNA on the shoes really exonerates.
You're not convinced by the DNA in the shoes?
I don't buy just on the shoes. But let me say this, and I think this is the most important part of the entire case, is that I commend state attorney's offices who have those units that evaluate the cases from the past to make sure that we get it right. I think a lot of times we lose focus on the fact that the object really is justice. And if the person didn't do it, and that there's some compelling evidence to show that they didn't, that the prosecutor's office is still looking at those cases and in hopes that we get them right, because the idea is to get it right.
Yeah, and Rick, you make a really important point. I know everyone on this panel is in on it. Michael, you're a former prosecutor as well. The job is to seek justice. And
right.
one problem I had with a lot of prosecutors through the years is when there is DNA that's sitting around that was untested. I'm like, why wouldn't we test it? Why would we not test it? I mean, that's our job, is to the truth. And if there's even like this much chance that it's wrong, but it's like sitting around, test it. Don't object to it. Consent to it. Pay for it, for goodness sake.
They have an obligation to do it. You know, under Brady, they have an obligation to test those things and to make sure that they get it right.
All right, well,
and to present that exculpatory evidence. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, I didn't want to jump on anyone, but
No, we're okay.
you guys are with us the whole night. Michael Sterling, Ann Bremner, Rick King. When we come back,